All right, welcome. Today we're diving into a really chilling, supernatural case file pulled right from a Hindi horror story about a village, a forest that's totally off limits, and a well, that's hiding a pretty terrifying secret. So it all kicks off with a voice, just this mysterious, whispery voice calling out in the middle of the night, promising a tour of a place you're not supposed to go. This voice, well, it's the heart of the puzzle, isn't it? It's pulling our main character, and frankly us, towards a very, very dark discovery. Okay, let's get right into it. Every great mystery has to have a starting point, right? A ground zero for all the weirdness to follow. And for this story, it's one specific spot, deep in a dark, silent forest. So picture this. It's midnight. The forest is dead quiet. I mean, cloaked in this heavy, unnatural silence that just screams something is wrong. And cutting through this quiet is a single, mysterious figure. And then we see this figure, totally cloaked in a black robe, face completely hidden, carrying a burning lantern. You know the look, just this one little circle of light pushing back against all that darkness. And they're walking with purpose, heading straight for an old, abandoned-looking well. The figure gets to the well, drops a small note into the abyss, and then, get this, throws the entire burning lantern in right after it. And then they just bolt, running as if their life depends on it. Which, of course, leaves us with our first huge question. What on earth is in that well that could make someone so terrified? All right, so let's zoom out a bit from the spooky forest and look at the bigger picture here. To really get what's going on with this well, you have to understand the setting, because we're not just dealing with one world in this story, we're dealing with two. So on one side, you've got Chandipur, where our protagonist Rohan is from. It's your picture-perfect, friendly little town, beautiful and calm. But then you have Sarpur, where his grandparents live. And it's a completely different story. The whole vibe is tense and scary. People literally lock themselves inside at sunset. And that jungle nearby, it's completely and very mysteriously off limits. So, right into this super tense place walks our main character, Rohan. He's just a curious kid visiting his grandparents. And of course, what's the one thing he's told he absolutely cannot do? Go into the jungle. So naturally, that's the one thing he becomes totally obsessed with. And this is where you really see this cat and mouse game start to play out. Rohan's curiosity is just off the charts. The first night, that voice calls him, but his grandfather stops him cold. The next day, he makes a run for it, and a family friend just happens to intercept him. That night, he sees some kind of ghostly figure, and boom, there's his grandfather again. It's like the whole village is in on this conspiracy of fear, trying to keep the secret buried. Okay, so just when it feels like Rohan's hit a total dead end, bam, something really dramatic and honestly super weird happens out in the open for everyone to see. And it all centers on this woman, Chandravati, and her dying husband, Ramesh. I mean, this is a really bad scene. Ramesh gets violently sick, vomiting blood, and he's going downhill fast. The local healer, the most experienced guy in the village, takes one look and is just completely baffled. He basically says, "There's nothing I can do. This is beyond me. He can't be saved." Okay, and this is where the story just takes a hard left turn into the bizarre. One day, Ramesh is knocking on death's door. The very next morning, people go to pay their respects, and they find him just sitting outside, totally fine, completely healthy. But instead of cheering or celebrating, the villagers are horrified, absolutely terrified. And it all comes down to this one symbol. When the villagers see Ramesh is cured, their attention goes right to this little clay pot hanging on his doorframe. The sight of that pot is what sends them into a panic. His wife Chandravati found a cure aright, but it's a cure the village seems to know came with a terrible, terrible price. And that brings us right to the climax. Rohan, on his third try, finally makes it. He gets past everyone and reaches the forbidden well. And what he sees there, well, it doesn't solve everything, but it definitely connects all the chilling dots. So he's hiding there, watching, and he sees a scene that's eerily familiar. A woman in a black robe, holding a lantern, walks up to the well. But this time, he sees what she throws in first, a pair of eyeglasses. Then, just like the figure from the beginning, she throws the lit lantern in after them and just runs for her life. When Rohan gets back, totally shaken, his grandfather is right there waiting. But instead of being angry, he just sounds desperate. He makes Rohan promise to never, ever ask about what he saw, to just forget it. He's trying to pull him back into that village-wide code of silence.
But come on, after all that, silence just isn't an option, is it? In fact, being told not to ask questions just makes you want to ask them even more. The mystery is just way too deep to let it go. And so that's where we're left with all these lingering questions. Who is the robed woman? Was it Chandravati, so desperate to save her husband she'd make any bargain? See, this is about more than just a ghost. It's about sacrifice. The well seems to demand a personal price for whatever it gives. A note, a pair of glasses. The villagers are terrified of the cure because they get the deal. They are all trapped, living next to this power that they fear. But maybe in their darkest moments, they also need. And we're just left to wonder, what is the true, terrifying nature of the cursed well?